Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Non-Classics. This is episode number 1604 and Doubleshot number 1498. Yeah, there'll be a couple more episodes in the 1400s for Doubleshots, and don't worry, we'll be past 1500 soon, so don't worry about that. Okay, for this one, discussing a trade from Valiant and a trade from Image. Yep. First up it is Shadowman, Volume 1, Fear the Dark. Here's a little fun factor about this Shadowman book. This actually is not the original Shadowman book. Nope. Well, not under the current publication when they revived the book at least 9 years ago. This actually is the second run of Shadowman. Yep. You want proof of that? There you go, right there. These trades right here, these are the ones here that collect the original Shadowman series. Excuse me. And that one was Justin Jordan. This is Andy Diggle. They do mention that it's been 5 years since the events of the previous volume for this series, where the main character of the book, Jack Boniface, he had come back to life after being apparently been dead for 5 years, where he's the current Shadowman, and he proclaims to his love interest that he is going to be the last Shadowman because he has no desire to become a father, because he wants the curse to die with him. And I'm thinking of what if you had a girl? Doesn't necessarily mean that she would have a curse. If you want to end it with you, fine. Just be a father. That's one thing I didn't like about this book. Was the fact this character doesn't decide to become a father. It's probably by far the first male character I've seen who, in fiction, has no desire to be a parent at all. His main villain of this book is Baron Shamadi. Yes, Baron Shamadi. You might be thinking, that name sounds very familiar. In pop culture, that was the main supporting villain from Live and Let Die, the James Bond movie. Baron Shamadi, I believe, is also like a voodoo god, and he pretty much battles them in here. And of course, the book, like the original book when it was published back in the 90s, he is based out of New Orleans. Yep, and it's mentioned by his girlfriend that apparently New Orleans has become pretty bad while he was gone for 5 years, so does that mean he apparently died in 2013 and came back here? Yeah, so, the book starts off with just waking up and then he becomes a Shadowman, and then he has the proclamation. But this book only contains the first, 3 issues of this run. And you're thinking, that's short. Well, the first issue was double-sided. It's pretty much just the size of the trade. And the book itself is only like $10. But for the start of this particular run, it's pretty good. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. You tell me yes. Oh, I forgot to mention the writer of this book. Excuse me. It's Andy Diggle. Yes, Andy Diggle. As in the guy who prior to this did Shadowland. The Andy Diggle has not a lot of comics per se, but this is actually one of the comics he did. The artist for this book is Steven Savalia. And he pretty much does all 3 issues in this book. They also have some backup stories in here. The reason why the trade is so long, because they have behind-the-scenes stuff for a bunch of the issues. Yep. But yeah, good book. Here's some sampled artwork from the back. Pretty good book to start off with. And let me take a look here. I think there's, if I remember correctly, I think there's more Shadowman trades. Yeah, there's actually about 3 more. Yeah, there is Dead and Gone and Rage in the Bone. I think this book did last for 11 issues. Let me take a look at it. Because I believe it did. Yeah, this book came back. Yep, it's 11 issues, which, yeah, quite short of a run. Yep. Yeah, aside from that, there's also a crossover one-shot called Shadowman / Ray Samadar. That came out just prior to this. And this book only came back in 2018, and yeah, 11 issues is quite short, but that's sometimes the way it is sometimes for Valiant. It seems like some of the books only last for about a year, maybe a year and a half, if you're lucky, 2 years. But that's the problem with Valiant I've had, where that their books don't last very long much anymore. I mean, it can't be like EXO, which that lasted for 50 issues. Even Venditti basically was surprised that book lasted that long. All right, next up is a fairly new book by two Batman creators, Scott Snyder and Tony S. Daniel. This is Nocterra, Book 1, Full Throttle Dark. This collects the first 6 issues of this series, and 3 6 issues is quite thick. In this alternate reality, the sun has gone out, and the only way stuff is powered nowadays is by electricity. There's no sun at all. Unknown why the sun went out. It just that, well, I actually think like the whole planet is like covered like that. So it's about like monsters. Basically, kind of think of this book as sort of like a dark version of Mad Max, if there was no sunlight. That's the best way to describe this series, especially as they drive these really cool looking cars. And it seems like modern day city seems like stuff still kind of works per se. Like for example, a semi truck. Like if you watch any of the Mad Max movies, usually their vehicles are cobbled together from about 4 or 5 different cars to make their actual movie vehicle, and they're usually powered by gasoline or by water. Yes, water powers these vehicles. These vehicles, gasoline. Yep. This here's who started the series. It's a woman named Val Riggs. Yep. For the start of this really good title, it's really good. Yes, I do recommend it. Like, mainly if you're a fan of Scott Snyder and Tony S. Daniel, or if you're a Batman fan, you would thoroughly enjoy this. Yeah, the character's not really Batman per se, but she is basically about a lot of creatures. But this book is just really good. Here's a little fun fact for you. Did you know that when Jameson IV started his run for Batman, that Tony S. Daniel was his very first artist? Yep. The first regular artist of that book when James Tynion took over as the writer. Even though he had drawn some books issues before, but he was James Tynion's original artist for that run. Scott Snyder, I think he has worked with Tony S. Daniel before. Before this, I don't remember. But it's always great to see Tony S. Daniel's artwork. Like here's some sample of Tony S. Daniel's artwork. Like, by the way, I give this book a 9.5. I've always been a big fan of Tony S. Daniel's artwork. He is one of my favorite artists of all time when it comes to comic artists because he's that damn good. And anytime I see a book with him on it, I just immediately check it out. Yeah, he's definitely one of those artists basically is like that. And like usual sometimes that, well, Image, along with Valiant, does this, where the very first trade release for a trade series is $9.99. They do raise up that price with next volume. Marvel, on the other hand, along with DC, generally keeps the same price tag on the book for certain books for a certain period of time before they upcharge the price in the books. Well, one good example of this, where it's the same price, is Immortal Hulk. All 9 volumes of release so far have been $15.99 for those books. And the price of those books never increased in size. As a matter of fact, I have Immortal Trick coming up in a later video, but I haven't read it just yet. So, but next video is going to be quite interesting, though. We're going to do an actual crossover tie-in, which you'll get my thoughts on, and a crossover event, which is a complete saga of the whole thing, which I'm looking forward to talking to Scott about that one in the next comic code. Hey, next video. Bye.